right, good afternoon, everyone. I think we're going to go ahead and get things started. Sorry, boss, had to interrupt your conversation there. Well, welcome everyone to the next edition of the Water Quality Advisory Work Group. Let's just call it the Drought Buster Edition. Hopefully this change in the weather pattern will keep going. But my name is Greg Easley. I manage the Water Quality Assessment section of the TCQ Water Quality Division, which puts on this quarterly stakeholder meeting. So thanks for attending in person, and thanks also to those who are online watching. Before we get into the actual meeting agenda, just wanted to go over a few things. First of all, if you haven't already done so, please make sure you register your attendance for this meeting, and also sign up for the, or join, I should say, the stakeholder group if you haven't done so already. For those who are online, you can send an email to our outreach mailbox, which is outreach@tcq.texas.gov, and put the stakeholder group acronym WQAWG in the subject line, and just provide your name and contact information, and we can get you set up with those two things. So also, as we go through the meeting, since we're back in person now, we'll kind of do our usual routine of after each topic is presented by the individuals up here, we'll allow for questions and hopefully have answers for you. But if you think of something later, past a particular presentation, we'll got a spot reserved near the end of the meeting for any additional questions. So want to let you know about that. And then, of course, hopefully all of you have got a copy of the agenda or have one accessible to you. There have been a couple changes in the speakers that I'll let you know about as we get to them. But unfortunately, a few of our folks couldn't be here in person, so we've got some folks subbing in for those folks. And so before we get into the meeting, I wanted to just go around the room for those here in person and have everyone introduce themselves. We'll start here up at the table and then go out into the audience. But if you could just give us your name and affiliation, we would appreciate it. So I guess, Robert, let's start on your end, please.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Robert Sadler. I'm the Deputy Director of the Water Quality Division. Thanks for coming out to spend some time with us this afternoon.
My name is Danielle Monroe with the Customer Assistance and the Informations team.
My name is Abigail Flores. I'm also on the same team as Danielle, Customer and Information Assistance.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jaspinder Singh. I'm with the Industrial Wastewater Permits team. I'm an environmental permit specialist. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michaela Coleman. I'm a permit writer in the Stormwater team in the Water Quality Division.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dante Fichetti. I'm also a permit writer on the Stormwater team.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul Broshai. I'm on the Wastewater Plans and Specs Review team of the Water Quality Division.
My name is Lee Flores. I'm with the Customer Information and Assistance team.
Hello, everybody. My name is Michelle Hill, and I'm Administrative Assistant on the CIA team, Customer Information. Thank you.
All right, mind passing around the microphones to the audience, please? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Susan Meckel. I'm with Water Quality Protection at LCRA.
Hi, my name is Maria Benitez. I'm with the TCQ, Technical Specialist in the Water Quality Division.
Hello, it's nice to meet you guys. Appreciate the welcome. My name is Anthony Belder, City Waco Watershed Protection.
Ashley Lewis with Plumber Associates. Meg Pierce Walsh, Plumber Associates.
Joseph Fielding, Trinity River Authority.
Chris Bush, Plumber Associates.
Nathan Vassar with Lloyd Gosselink.
Teresa Montemayor, CMR Energy.
Jesse Spears with Lloyd Goslink.
Chris Peters, Railroad Commission.
Hi, I'm Rebecca DuPont. I'm with the TCEQ Office of Compliance and Enforcement.
I'm Cole Gray with TCEQ Industrial Wastewater Team.
Hi, I'm Jamie Canings with Burns McDonnell.
Lyle Tischler with Tischler Surrey.
And Sarah Bergen with Bracewell.
All right, thank you, everybody. And again, welcome. Thanks for being here. We'll go ahead and get started, jump into our items and updates that we have for you. First off, we have some permitting program updates, update, I should say, from Michaela.
Thank you, Greg. So the first update we want to share with everybody is some more information about the agency's compliance with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. So some of these updates might be a little bit of a repeat from last quarter, but just in case you weren't here, we want to make sure everybody's up to speed. So TCEQ entered into an informal resolution agreement with EPA in response to some complaints filed against TCEQ. The complaints allege that there is discrimination against individuals with limited English proficiency in the administration of TCEQ's permitting and public engagement programs, alleging a violation of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. And so as a result of this informal resolution that we reached with EPA, TCEQ made some changes in order to meet the requirements of Title VI, primarily doing three things. First, TCEQ published the public participation plan, and if you want to view that, its official publication number is GI 607, GI as in general information. We also published TCEQ's language access plan, and that formal publication number is GI 608. And then the agency revised some public notice requirements in Title 30 of the Texas Administrative Code in Chapter 39. So these new plans and updated rules do impact water quality permit applicants in the following ways. So first, applications that are administratively complete on or after May 1st of 2022, those applicants that are subject to public notice requirements under Chapter 39 must also provide a plain language summary of their applications as part of the application package. And if those applicants are subject to alternative language notice requirements, then an alternative language version of that plain language summary must also be provided. Applicants that have alternative language notice requirements must provide TCEQ with a translated copy of each of those notices, and if there's any failure to provide those translated notice documents, that could delay the permitting process. To assist applicants, TCEQ has developed some Spanish notice templates that we'll provide to applicants during the process to hopefully make some of those translations a little bit faster. TCEQ is also posting these alternative language notices and plain language summaries on our public webpage, in addition to any newspaper applications that are completed by applicants. And applicants with alternative language requirements must publish alternative language notices of any public meetings. Applicants may also be required to provide interpretation services at public meetings. And finally, the new item we want to bring to everyone's attention today is that TCEQ's public participation plan identifies that using preliminary screening and public involvement plans to ensure meaningful public outreach. So TCEQ is in the process of developing an agency-wide form for applicants to develop a public involvement plan, or a PIP. So the new PIP form will be required as part of the application package for certain applicants applying for a new permit or a major amendment to an existing permit. Once that form is finalized and published by the agency, the water quality permit applications will be updated to specify when that form is required. And further information and announcements about the implementation of this form will be forthcoming once the form is in a more final place and we're ready to update those applications. So if you are a member of the Water Quality Advisory Work Group, stakeholder group, you'll be getting those announcements in the future. And that is all I have. Does anyone have any questions about this update? Okay, back to you, Greg.
Thanks, Michaela. Next up, we have a couple of permitting program specific updates, and we will start with Preet.
Hello, everybody. I'm here today to provide updates on House Bill 2771 implementation process. TCEQ was transferred the permitting authority for discharge into surface water in the state for oil and gas extraction facilities and gas plants through House Bill 2771 during 2018 legislative session. TCEQ obtained the TIPT's authorization from EPA in January 2021 through a revised memorandum of agreement. Land application activities were not transferred to TCEQ through HB 2771 and remain under Texas Railroad Commission. TCEQ updated the hydrostatic test discharge general permit, amended and reissued with an effective date of October 21, 2020. And this hydrostatic test discharge general permit now includes hydrostatic test discharges from crude oil and natural gas facilities. TCEQ right now is in a process of developing 2 general permits for oil and gas extraction facilities discharging into surface water in the state. One under the TIPT's program, that is TXG 310000, and another which is state-only authorization, that is WQG 280000. So now I'll go over each of those general permits and provide a little update on their timelines. So TXG 3100, which is for the onshore stripper well facilities, coastal facilities, and territorial sea facilities within 3 miles of Texas coastline. TXG 310000 combines and replaces NPDES general permit TXG 26 with 4 zeros, which was expired in February 2017, and the NIPT's general permit number TXG 33 with 4 zeros, which was expired in July 2017. Both of these EPA and PDES general permits were administratively continued. TCEQ submitted the draft general permit TXG 31 to EPA Region 6 for their 90-day review on August 2nd, 2022. That means the comment and review end period is November 1st, 2022. The anticipated public notice timeframe for this general permit is January 2023, and that will begin the public comment period from January to February 2023, and we are anticipating the Commission's adoption of this general permit in spring of 2023. All the appropriate notification forms for this general permit has already been drafted and completed. The next general permit for oil and gas we are drafting is the state-only general permit, that is WQG 280000, that is for outer continental shelf facilities between 3 miles and 10.2 miles off the Texas coastline. So the development of this general permit is currently underway, and we are coordinating with EPA Region 6 because they are also renewing their NPDES general permit GMG 290000. The timeline for this GP will be paired with the other general permit, TXG 31, and we are hoping to have this ready for Commission's adoption in spring of 2023. This is a state-only general permit, so it's not subject to EPA review and approval. And all the appropriate forms for this general permit has already been drafted and completed. So lastly, I'll provide a little update on our pending authorizations and issued authorizations since we have received this delegation. So far, we have issued 30 general permits for hydrostatic test discharge for oil and gas facilities, and currently we have 18 individual oil and gas TIPDs permits in-house pending. And that's all I have. Back to you, Greg. Oh, if you
Yeah.
guys have any questions.
Yeah, any questions for Preet at this time? Okay, thank you. Next up, Paul's going to give a Homeland Security update.
Okay, good afternoon. The 2022 Annual Homeland Security Information Update has been completed. The numbers have not changed from last quarter till now. We mailed out 2,700 requests for for getting the information updated. We received about 53% response rate. And we do have the electronic system that was brought online this year for the first time, and we received about a third of what we received back in electronically. All information that has been received has been updated. The submittal has been pulled and sent to EPA START contractor. We are currently, we have reviewed what they have loaded, and everything has gotten loaded into the emergency response software that is sponsored by EPA for responses to natural disasters. We're just currently now looking at the weather and keeping tabs on storms that are coming across the Atlantic, and if we need to use it, we will use it and be ready. We do, like I said, have the electronic system, and we're hoping to get a better submittal rate through the electronic system than we did this year. And you know, we did have some growing pains, but I think we will be able to iron out everything that we have. So with that being said, I'll answer any questions that anybody may have.
Okay, thank you, Paul. And I think I forgot to mention at the top of the meeting that those who are participating online can send in questions if you have any and want to get answers to your questions. You can send those to the outreach mailbox that I mentioned earlier, outreach@tcq.texas.gov, and we will get you answers if you have any questions. Next up, we've got several general permit updates to give. We'll start off with Dante, and then go to Michaela. There was one update that Rebecca Villalba was going to give, but she unfortunately couldn't be with us, so Michaela has kindly stepped in to cover that. But again, take it away, Dante.
Great. Thanks, Greg. So the first of the 3 stormwater general permits that we'll cover today is going to be the renewal of the construction general permit. The TXR number for this one, or the general permit number, is TXR 150,000. So just as a general overview, this general permit regulates stormwater discharges from construction activities and is set to expire on March 5th of 2023. We actually start this renewal process about 1.5 to 2 years ahead of time. So we began in September of 2021, and a stakeholder meeting was held on October 21 of 2021. Where we presented the preliminary proposed changes, as well as stakeholders were given a 2-week window to provide us any input of revisions they'd like to see. Some of our preliminary proposed changes included prohibiting permit coverage for construction or operation of a facility that is licensed for the storage of high-level radioactive waste in accordance with House Bill 7. And this was passed during the 2019 87th Legislative Special Session. We also included that large construction site notices must be maintained until final stabilization is achieved. Clarified that compliance with the permit is required until termination of the authorization. And lastly, we included additional requirements for site maps and descriptions to clearly identify all property boundaries and soil disturbing activities. This also includes phasing and any demolition activities. And this is only a brief preliminary list. If you'd like to see the full list, it can be viewed at the Stormwater Stakeholder Group webpage. And I'd be more than happy to provide that to you. I believe it's also provided on the handouts afterwards. Once that 2-week comment period was closed. All the stakeholder comments, as well as comments from various TCEQ internal program areas, were reviewed and the draft CGP was completed. So that was kind of a recap of everything that you've heard up till the last meeting. We've had some new developments regarding the EPA review. So management briefings were conducted and TCEQ sent the draft renewal permit to EPA for their review and approval on April 14th of 2022. They had 90 days, but they sent an interim objection letter dated July 20th of 2022, so they just exceeded that 90-day window by about a week. This interim objection included 3 objections and 26 recommendations to TCEQ. TCEQ then provided a response letter dated August 4th, 2022, along with the revised draft permit and fact sheet addressing their objections and several of the recommendations. And then most recently, this just happened last week, EPA sent TCEQ an approval letter and withdrew all their objections, and this happened on August 18th of 2022. Moving forward, one of our last steps towards issuance is posting the public notice and having the draft permit available for you all. So TCEQ is now moving to the next step in the CGP renewal process. The draft CGP is tentatively scheduled to be published for public notice, and a 30-day comment period scheduled for late September or early October of this year. Publication will be in both the Texas Register and at least one newspaper. And lastly, an in-person public meeting will be held on the last day of the comment period at this location at the TCEQ Austin campus. Written comments submitted orally during the public meeting or submitted in writing to the Office of the Chief Clerk will be reviewed, and a formal response to comments document will be prepared and proposed. The CGP will also be revised as appropriate. And lastly, the renewal permit is expected to go to the Commissioner's agenda for adoption in late February and to be formally issued with an effective date of March 5th of 2023. And that's it for the construction general permit, so any questions?
I can't resist. It's just curiosity. So what was the basis for EPA's interim objection on the construction general permit?
Most of their objections were related to the federal ELG language. And previously they didn't have any objections. We hadn't changed that section of the permit at all. And previously with the other 2 renewals, there were no objections, but with this go around, they wanted us to change some of the language so it was more clear for the operators. Michaela, would you like to add anything?
Thanks.
Any other questions for Dante? All right. Thank you, sir. Michaela?
Thanks, Greg. Okay, so our next update is on the multi-sector general permit. This one isn't necessarily about a renewal. We just wanted to give an update on the implementation of electronic reporting under this general permit. So the multi-sector general permit, or MSGP for short, and that general permit number is TXR 050,000, was renewed in August of 2021, and this is the general permit that regulates stormwater discharges from industrial activities in the state. All permittees under the MSGP must report their monitoring data electronically through NetDMR unless they qualify for and obtain an electronic reporting waiver under this new general permit. And we are thrilled to announce that the NetDMR system is now ready for our multi-sector general permit permittees to access. So we worked with EPA to flow all of the necessary data into the NetDMR system. And so those MSGP permittees can now go into the NetDMR system and access their permit information and start submitting electronic data. The TCEQ Small Business and Local Government Assistance Group is planning a free webinar about reporting the MSGP monitoring data in the NetDMR system. It's tentatively scheduled for October 11th, October 11, 2022 from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. More details about the NetDMR reporting for MSGP facilities webinar will be available soon. The link to register will soon be available on the Small Business and Local Government Assistance assistance tools for the MSGP webpage. And the meeting minutes will have a hyperlink to that. So it's tentatively scheduled. You can pencil it in, and we hope you'll be able to attend. And if not, it will be recorded and available afterward. And I'll just continue on with, or no, I'm sorry. Are there any questions about the MSGP before I continue? Okay. The next update is on our small MS4 or phase 2 MS4 general permit, and that is general permit number TXR 040,000. It is time for the 2024 renewal. So this is the general permit that regulates stormwater discharges from small or phase 2 municipal separate storm sewer system or MS4s. And this general permit is set to expire on January 24th of 2024. And as Dante said before, we typically start the renewal process for our general permits about 1.5 to 2 years before. So we did kick off that renewal process in May of 2022, and we are planning to hold a stakeholder meeting in late September 2022, so just next month. And at that meeting, we will present some preliminary proposed changes, and we're also planning to share some proposed permit language for a few of the minimum control measures for our stakeholders to review and provide feedback. More details about the stakeholder meeting will be available soon. We will post updates about that on the Stormwater Stakeholder Group webpage. And if you're a member of the Stormwater Stakeholder Group, we'll also have email announcements going out about that. If you'd like to become a member of the Stormwater Stakeholder Group, you can send an email to outreach@tcq.texas.gov. Are there any questions about the small MS4 general permit? Okay, that concludes my updates.
All right, thank you, Michaela. I will give the last 3 general permit updates. Shannon Gibson was going to do those for you, but unfortunately she couldn't be here today. So I'll just run through each one real quick, and then at the end I'll take any questions you might have. So the first permit is the livestock manure compost general permit, WQG 200000. This permit authorizes the disposal of wastewater that's generated from livestock manure compost operations by evaporation or through beneficial use via irrigation. This permit is proposing to be renewed. It expires November 10th, 2023, so a little ways out, but the activities on getting that renewed are starting up now. Second permit to update you on is the Petroleum Bulk Stations and Terminals General Permit. That's TXG 340000. This permit authorizes the discharges of facility wastewater, contact stormwater, and stormwater associated with industrial activities into or adjacent to waters in the state from petroleum bulk stations and terminals. The Commission actually renewed this general permit on August 10th, 2022, just earlier this month. And facilities that are currently authorized under the general permit are required to submit a notice of intent, or NOI, within 90 days of the effective date, which is anticipated to be October 24th, 2022. And then lastly, update for the Petroleum Contaminated Waste General Permit, TXG 830000. This one authorizes stormwater discharges of water contaminated by petroleum substances into or adjacent to any water in the state. TCQ is proposing to renew and amend this permit. The current permit expires on September 12th, 2023. And we would anticipate sending the permit to EPA for review in September of this year. So those are the updates on those 3 particular permits. Anyone have any questions about any of those? And hopefully I can answer them for you. Go ahead. Well, once you get the microphone, Lyle, you can go ahead.
On the petroleum bulk stations general permit, is there a new NOI, and if not, when will it be available, the form? Is it available now?
I would assume it's available now, but I'm not absolutely sure about
well,
that.
I looked after the commission approved it on the web, and I didn't see it.
Um,
And I don't, they have 90 days after, but you can submit it before, so I don't know.
and I think Shannon is listening online, so she might submit a response on that question. But unfortunately, I'm not sure myself, Lyle. But once we get an answer, we'll let everyone know. But good question. Anyone else have anything I can't answer or can attempt to answer? Nobody? Okay. And like I said early on, think of anything else while we're going through the rest of the meeting. We've got another opportunity for you to ask questions near the end. So lastly, we've got a couple of rule updates for you, and I'm actually going to start that off for Shannon on her behalf. The first one has to do with our Chapter 210 rules, specifically 30 TAC Chapter 210. And these are updates to these rules, which are use of reclaimed water coverage. And specifically, language is getting added to the existing rule to clarify that an application to obtain an authorization under Chapter 210 may be submitted concurrently or anytime after submittal of an application for a TPDES or TLAP, TLAP permit, i.e. discharge or land application permit application. And this rule making is scheduled to go before the commission for approval later next month, specifically on September 22nd, 2022. So any questions about that rule update?
I was busy taking notes. Did you say it can go concurrently with TPDES or TLAP application?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct. Sure. Any other questions? All right. Well, I'm actually going to turn it back over to Paul for the last rule update on Chapter 217.
Okay. Currently, we have 3 of the subchapters that we have drafted for update, and we have done some internal review on that, but they're not ready for to be sent out for any type of stakeholder meeting. We are working on 3 or 4 others currently. We are scheduling, hoping to schedule our stakeholder meetings starting no later than mid-fall and more than likely sometime in September, mid to late September. And that's where we stand on that. And I'll answer any questions.
All right. Thank you, Paul. So now we are at our final questions and answers portion of the meeting. So if there's anything you thought of while we went through the topics, the different topics, you can certainly ask about, or anything else you can think of.
Thank you. I recall at the last meeting, there was mention of a general TLAP and general small domestic dischargers general permit. Is there any update on that at this time?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, work on that continues internally to develop the potential permit for that purpose. Can't think of anything else specific that I could mention. I don't know if, Robert, you know of anything else. Certainly welcome to chime in.
No, it's a great question. Those are still very much in the kind of feasibility, assessment of whether we can make those work. And so staff are still looking at it, but nothing substantive to update you on. Thanks for the question.
All right, and I think we have a couple questions from online. Is that correct?
This one's for Jasmine Durr. Are there any permit applications received by the TCEQ for the treatment of oil and gas waste or produced water with discharge into waters of the state? If so, how many, and is a list of those available?
So in terms of oil and gas permit, individual permit applications, so far we have approximately 18 applications pending with us. We don't have a list available online, but so far we have 18 approximately individual applications in-house. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jaspinder. Go ahead, Danielle.
Oops. And Mr. Lyle, this is a response from Shannon regarding your question. She said that the new NOI will be available effective by the effective date, but most likely sooner.
Thank you. Got another question out there?
Yes. So previous meetings, we've talked about the process improvements you guys have been working on permitting. Do we have any update on that? Because it kind of feels like it might have fallen by the wayside a little bit lately.
Are you talking about the supplemental meetings, or are you noticing a drop-off in timeframes? Okay. If there are specific permits you want to talk about, I would encourage you to reach out directly to me, and I can find out what the holdup on those is, and we can either work through issues or, we'll identify a path forward. We can talk right after this.
Yes, I have a CGP question. With the large construction site notice, I think Dante mentioned, is that the large construction site notice would now have to be maintained on site until full coverage. Is that what I kind of understood that?
Yeah, so to clarify, it wasn't explicitly stated in the general permit previously, but now the notice will have to be maintained on site until final stabilization has been achieved, and then the authorization's been terminated.
That's that 70% coverage, is that correct?
Right.
So basically just the OCN just wasn't mentioned in the CGP. That's
Yeah, we
what it
just
kinda
made it
sounds like.
very explicit.
Okay.
Can I add a little bit? Sorry, this is Michaela. Mostly we were trying to clarify for small construction sites, since they're automatically authorized and their main form of demonstrating coverage is through that site notice. They're not submitting a notice of termination, but removing the site notice, so making it crystal clear in the general permit language that they need to maintain that site notice until they've achieved final stabilization, and then they can remove it.
Awesome. Just hope they would submit a notice of termination along with that, right? It's
Right.
kind of difficult sometimes. Another question I had, I think Michaela mentioned, or maybe Dante, in late September, October, you said the draft, or is that correct?
Yes. So we plan on having the draft permit available in late September, early October. And when that is posted, the 30-day public comment period begins as well. So we welcome everyone to review it and then provide any feedback.
All right, I think we have another question from online.
Yes. It is a 210 question. So a TIPTES municipal applicant can apply for a 210 authorization while the TIPTES is being worked on. When will this take place, and can they then implement the 210 prior to the TIPTES?
I'm gonna take a stab at it, but someone certainly chime in. So it sounds like, with them going, with the 210 rules going to the commission for approval, September 22nd. I always forget when if the rules approved, the effective date is usually, was it 30, 60 days afterwards or something like that. But I think it's shortly after that approval date, they would be able to start implementing that rule change. And I don't know if I answered the entire question, though. Yes, please.
The TIPTES municipal applicant can apply for a 210 authorization while the TIPTE is being worked on. When will this take place? And then also, can they then implement the 210 prior to the TIPTES? And I do see
That one I'm not
Shannon is
sure
writing as
of.
well.
Robert, do you know?
Yeah. So the rule change that is going to commission really is clarifying a policy that's already in place. There's an impression that you can't submit an application for a 210 authorization until your TIPTES or TLAP authorization has been issued. you can submit it now concurrently with your TIPDs or TLAP application. This rule change is meant to clarify that, to allow applicants to do that. It does not allow you to go ahead and implement your 210 prior to TIPDs or TLAP approval.
All right. Thank you, Robert. You got another question? Another question, Danielle? Anyone else have any questions? Okay, hearing none. Before we adjourn, just a couple announcements. First of all, this doesn't normally happen or doesn't coincide with these meetings, but since we're meeting in August, this go around, I did want to let you know that we have another quarterly update out for public comment of the WQMP plan, the water quality management plan. You know, has things like TMDL updates, domestic wastewater effluent limit proposals, and other things of that nature. So there's a link in the agenda that you can go to check that out and comment if you would like to. And then lastly, the next meeting of this work group will be on October 25th, 2022. Same time, same place. So look forward to seeing you then. But until then, thanks again for coming today and for all those participating online, and hope you have a good rest of the afternoon. We are now officially adjourned. Thank you.